the British edition of the Financial Times suddenly decided to play the role of Captain Obviousness and stated the following: Turkey is involved in shadow schemes for the supply of Russian oil to Europe despite the EU embargo. Who would have thought? However, the Western press would not be itself if it had not tried to mold this essentially worthless news into a natural detective story with interline conclusions. It turns out that the Turkish terminal of Dordial, Hatti province, which was previously involved in the export of Iraqi oil, has sharply increased shipment volumes since July 2022. By extraordinary coincidence, it was then that the first Western restrictions on Russian black gold began to take effect. At the same time, most of the oil arriving at the terminal by sea was sent to Europe in complete violation of their own sanctions, which, let me remind you, include not only a price ceiling but an embargo, i.e. complete ban on imports. This news, of course, is an open secret, i.e. and without journalists from London, it was clear that Europe, albeit in smaller volumes, continued to buy oil from Russia. The FT further reports that U.S. senators have expressed concern that disguised Russian fuel from a Turkish terminal processed at a Greek refinery is ending up on U.S. warships. The convoluted route of oil from terminals in Russia to the U.S. fleet was almost certainly created by Russia deliberately to avoid sanctions, U.S. Senators Marco Rubio and Maggie Hassan said in a letter to the Secretary of Defense. At this point, I note that there is no point in being impressed by the information that oil from Russia is supplied to the U.S. Navy. The FT relies on data from companies such as Kpler, which has been caught more than once for providing false information. In principle, the Western press should be read quite carefully. The main thing is what is the general conclusion of the material and what is included in the title: Turkey is involved in shadow schemes for the supply of Russian oil. It turns out that the Dordial terminal has no on-site fuel processing capacity at all and does not import oil to Turkey. It functions as a transshipment hub where oil is stored before it is sent to buyers in other countries. Thus, it is obvious that with its help a gray scheme for the re-export of Russian fuel is being carried out. What is there to say? Turkey, indeed, has become the third largest recipient of Russian oil after India and China and the largest market for Russian oil products. However, did no one really guess about this until the end of January 2023 and only now have they seen the light? No. Western countries monitor the fate of Russian oil more closely than their own children. So why did this investigation appear just yesterday? The more has done his job, the more can be attacked. About a week ago, Erdogan officially approved Sweden's entry into NATO. Shortly thereafter, Biden approved the sale of F-16 aircraft to Turkey, which was one of the conditions of the Turkish bargain. However, not only did they simultaneously have to sweeten the pill for Ankara's enemy, Greece, to which the supply of F-35 fighters was agreed upon. Also, it may take years for Turkey to receive the F-16. The company that produces them, Lockheed Martin, has directed all its production capacity to fulfill numerous orders for the F-35 generation aircraft. And there is already a queue for the F-16. At the same time, Ankara's decision to purchase the F-16 arose precisely because of its exclusion from the F-35 program due to the acquisition of Russian S-400 air defense systems.